Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's May 30th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. No chart lessons on Friday, so this is going to wrap our week up. Short week due to the Monday holiday. As you can see on our daily chart here, we continued lower today, right on through the EMA. Generally, prices will pull back and test that EMA and that breakout level right there before they'll go low, continue lower. Now they could just keep going lower. We could go lower another day and then come back, or another day or two and come back. But at some point, generally, they come back and retest those. So we'll see if that happens or not. If this sell-off picks up steam, we could just continue on down lower. So we'll have to see what happens. But surprisingly enough, we closed much lower and outside the range today. They tried to rally it back at one time, but we ended up selling back off, and prices are in the overnight session now, opened back up at 5, and it looks like they're still continuing to push a little lower at this point. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But there it is on the daily chart. Another bearish day. We were range bound for a good bit of the day, and then finally broke lower and pushed down, made a relatively lower low today. So let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart and take a look at what it looks like on that chart and go through the trades. And here it is. You can see the early range that we were in. And notice how they tried to push it lower, just couldn't get it down there, and then we rallied back. And this is typical, so pay attention to this. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll let it break out the high side, and it'll fail, and that'll give it enough momentum to run it down out the other side. And or you could see them let it fail out this side and run it out the other side. Generally, it'll come back and retest that breakout area before it goes lower, just like it did here. But that's how they'll push it lower sometimes, or push it higher if they can't seem to move it in the direction they want to go. And notice too, we had this leg up, then a correction here of at least 2 legs. It's like a little 2-legged correction, and then we made a perfect, almost perfect measured leg up before it sold off, and that did allow for the breakout. And this is a separate trend working up here, because we had the break here, and then 2 legs up, and then there's 2 legs down, and we started another leg up here, and then you got a break and 2 legs to a new high before it went lower. So we'll zoom in here and get a little closer look at it, and we'll go through the trades and wrap this day up. Actually, in the end, I believe this was the low side of the range was a little bit higher. If you notice, if you come back to that close right there, that meets, that's where we bounce the next time. So I think it's more like that right there than where I originally had it. It wouldn't have made any difference. You wouldn't have known that until almost 2:30 anyway. So it doesn't really change much, but just something I would have moved at that point once we bounced right there. And I'd have been looking for that to be my support level. But let's zoom on in here and go through the trades. We had an overnight move down, then an overnight move up, break, couple of legs up, and then we just kind of chopped along, and we pushed up one more time and just tested those highs, and we got stuck in this pink range for a while. And notice what happens here. This was at 9 o'clock or 7:30, so you had to kind of skip out of this. You couldn't really take trade during that period because of the 7:30 a.m. news, and there's a 9 o'clock piece right here you have to skip out on. But notice what happens here. Once we broke out, we tested that once. This was the overnight high over here, and we tested it once, twice, 3 times, and then I would count this all as one test. And then you got this bearish bar. I like going short one tick below that. And then we bounced 3 times at the bottom, so you get a triple test down here with a high or low, and that's a first entry. And when it broke above that bar here, it's a second entry. I'd wait for this to close and then go above that one, though. We end up breaking out of this range and pushing all the way to the top, but you don't really get a good signal bar to go short. And somebody sent me this trade earlier this morning, asked if this was a good trade. No, it would have worked, But look at that support right there. You can't go short it. See how it bounced and then tried to bounce. It ended up working, but be thankful it did if you took that trade, because you got to pay attention to this support and resistance, because it tried to bounce and I'm surprised it didn't, because look, I mean, it bounced 3 more times over here. So you got lucky on that one right there. You can't trade that on the engulfing bar, which that's the only way it gives you room to get out. You have to wait for this to close, and there's just not room there. And it could have been detrimental to your trading account if so you got to be careful with those. We got this channel coming down. We break out the low side here, but we don't really have a close outside the channel yet until here. And we try to go lower multiple times, and by the time you get this triple test here, it's also a first entry, second entry. So when it breaks above that, I like going long on it. That's where the support is. We've tested it another 3 times here. Just go long there. That takes you into the news. And then we run up here to the highs. And again, I just don't see anything. This one is very tempting. But you don't have a new high in place yet. And it looks like congestion. You can see the 3 bars there, 2 of them with very small or no bodies. So this, you were better off to wait on a breakout here or a retest with a good signal bar. You just never get one. It just suddenly the bottom falls out of it and off it goes. Notice the channel working down. You get a close outside, move to a new low, and then you get a higher low here. I don't know if you could have got in this. I marked it green. It's a big bar, and it kind of gaps over and moves up, but it does come back. So you would have got filled, but you probably would have had to ride a little of this out before it went higher. I don't know if that's worthwhile. And again, so I don't know if I would have waited for it to turn down off the EMA and come back. If I couldn't scalp out by that high there, if I couldn't get in on the break, I'd probably skip that trade. And of course, you do get 2 legs up and a big bearish bar away from the EMA, but I would wait on this one because this has actually moved a little bit. I think this should be more like this right here. So because this channel is still in play, you got to be real careful, and it ends up getting a close outside. It tries to go higher twice and fails. So and this is also there's a new low there, so first entry, second entry. I made it green simply because there's not a lot of room to the lows there. So you got to be real careful. It's kind of in the middle too. I don't really think that's congested because you don't have a real tiny body on any of these bars, but there is definitely some support there. So I made it green for that reason. It's not an ideal trade, but it's probably going to trap people because here you had that. Notice you're coming down, you get a first entry, and then you get a second entry all in one bar there. And so you probably got some people trapped. If it would have broke higher there, I'd have liked it even more because I know you'd have trapped more people. But anyway, it is what it is. You come down, you get a break, a couple of legs to a new low, and then it reverses, break, close outside, and then move to a new high. This is your signal bar. There's a little stem there. You can't really see it. Let me zoom in and see. Maybe you can see that there. I don't know. So this is not really your signal bar. It's just an inside bar. And this is just chopping sideways here. I don't see anything I would like there. And then, of course, we bounce down here at this point, and we make a higher low here that closes above the EMA. So if you can go long there, take that. There's a new high here, so it's a first entry, and then it turns down, turns back up. So that's a second entry when it goes past this bar. So I like going long 1 tick above this bar on a second entry. There's somewhat of a reversal here. It just looks a little too congested. So I'd skip that one. Runs up, you get a close outside. It tries to make a new high. And so this is like a lower high. I'm not crazy about it. You'll probably make a new low even if you're going to go higher here, because this will probably play out first before this one does. So maybe you take that trade. I like it. There's a good chance you can get a measured leg down here. It looks like so. So you got plenty of room to scalp out. It actually goes a little lower, and then that turns back up again. And this is just the retest of the high on this. And notice you come back, you get a first entry, and then it comes back, gives you pretty much a triple test and a second entry long there. So I like that one. But then it comes 2 legs back and tests that again on another second entry. And so I like entering there again. And up it goes. And this is really, even though this makes a higher high, you could look at that as like 2 legs back to the EMA. I didn't mark it because it looks a little congested. And we'd finally filled, actually we'd already filled this gap on this 830 open, but you still have to look at that as maybe being a target. And we just keep working higher. I don't see anything in this trend up. You just can't go long up into this stuff here. And it comes back and you get a second entry here, but it's not a very good signal bar. You get a higher low here, not enough signal bar, and then you shoot up here and you meet that measured move, and you got your break and 2 legs to a new high with a decent signal bar. You're better off to wait on the lower high, but you know, if you want to be a little bit aggressive, that's where you do it. And that turns out to be a nice move, actually. This is just a first entry. It is back in the range. If you got a good signal bar there, maybe you go short if you got plenty of room and a good signal bar. But I think you have to skip it the way it sets up. And of course, you turn down again and get another big leg down. And then it reverses, and you get your break outside. And notice how this one does. You get your move down, or it's just a kind of an inside bar. Then it breaks higher again and gives you a lower, and turns back down and gives you a lower high. You can't trade that on the engulfing bar. Wait for it to close, and I like going short right there. Comes back again, but it doesn't give you a good enough signal bar. Nothing's good enough down here to go long on. Maybe that one. But you can see we're making lower highs and lower lows there, so I'm a little wary of going long there. I would just skip that one personally. I think there's exactly 6 ticks there, so if you took it, it worked. But I would just skip that. It just looks, like I said, we're making lower lows and lower highs, and we're trying to make a new low here, so there's a good chance it could try and break lower. If we were going back and forth from high to low, I'd probably say take it. But it also makes a lower low there, and you're better off to wait on the higher high, and you never get that, or the higher low, I'm sorry. And you get one here, but it doesn't trigger. So, and then it fails and it's headed lower again. And then of course we bounce right at the previous low there. Again, it's only like 6 ticks, but I don't think you can go long there. I just think it's too risky. Turns out it's a good trade. I mean, you could argue for that to be green. The more I think about it, you know, you could take that trade. I mean, we're so far away from the EMA. There appears to be enough room. I mean, there's more than enough room back to the trend line, even if you go at an angle. And so, yeah, maybe you take that trade. Again, I'd mark it green, and then you get your break, new high. And there is a second entry short there, and that signal bar is just okay. This is barely after 230, so it's another one maybe you take. You really need to wait on probably a lower high here just to be safe. And it comes here. Now it's, you know, it's a little bit further after 230. Now it's still only 232, but it's not a good enough signal bar is the main thing. So if you're going to enter, you'd have to do it here. And I think that's probably okay. I'll mark it green. It's late in the day, so you got to be real careful. But it clearly confirms that trend line, and you clearly have 2 legs up in the second entry short there, and this is clearly played out because you got a break and new high. But sometimes you get that second leg, and that's why I'm saying wait and see what the lower high does if you get one, and it does, but you don't get a setup on it. So there it is. Mostly a range day with a late afternoon sell-off. Pretty good sell-off. I mean, it's a pretty good move from high to low here. I mean, that's 100 bars, almost 40 points. And we ended up closing. Where did it close at? I think it closed. Okay, it closed right here on this line. So closed down almost 27, 26 and a half, 27 points there. So anyway, interesting week. The volume did pick up a little today. A lot of sideways stuff, though. You got to be real careful. Again, it's another range day with consistent lows and highs, but you don't really get a chance to trade a whole lot of that. You pretty much had to kind of trade the trends with inside it. There was a chance to trade this range here, the pink one, a few times. But that was really about it as far as the range. The rest of it was just trading the trends or breakouts or whatnot. So anyway, not much else we can say about today. So I'm going to wrap it up. We're going to wrap up our week. I'll be back again to do it Monday. Hope you had a good trading week. Hope you have a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.